tell me the truth. How has the sleep coaching been going? I hear pretty rough for some people. But I got you. We're gonna do a little Q&A with all of the great DMs I've got from people, and I'm gonna explain a little bit of the most asked questions because I want you guys to be successful, and I know it can be scary. Laguna's actually asleep right now, but let's go over it. All right, so this first one is sleep coaching. Hey Ricky, I'm so looking forward to starting our sleep journey this weekend. Do you do this only for nighttime or naps too? My issue is that I work part-time, so my mom and mother-in-law watch my baby while I'm at work. I would love for them to be able to more easily put her down for naps. Do you think this technique translates to nap time too? So in my personal experience, it's like if you're not doing it for nap time, your baby's not really gonna grasp the full purpose and like how much you expect from them. So nap time is essential. In our household, it was easier for me to do my technique instead of Rachel. Laguna gave Rachel a little bit of a hard time because I think that's where the milk comes from. And so I did all of it, and I did it nap time, bedtime, everything. And it wasn't so much building like this long routine with Laguna as opposed to just the fact that like, hey, I'm not going to tap you to sleep, whether it's like nap time or bedtime. Like we need to create a little bit of a good, healthy relationship. So to answer your question, we're going to do it all the time. Hello, hope you're doing well. I have a few questions if that's okay. It is okay. Are you always the one to put her to bed? Yes. Well, I should say no. But when I was doing the active sleep coaching, yes. Do you have different reset and settling methods between you and Rachel, or using the exact same one for consistency? So nowadays we do have different ones. Rachel, when she was in the phase where she was like still touching Laguna the whole time, she would rub her hair. Laguna didn't really let me do that. So mine was to just like tap her bottom. But consistency across this whole thing is important. Like if you're going to remember one word, let it be consistent and patient. Consistent and patient. Also, is it more difficult for Rachel as Laguna can smell the milk? Yes. And then this girl saying she never settles after night wakes. That's my current phase. Okay, so we're going to go over how to settle after night wakes. We're going to go over how to settle when your baby's being hysterical. Also, I know I'm not a stay-at-home mom. Let me address this, but this is my favorite hat I've ever made, and no one buys it, and I don't know why. Like, I don't know if I fucked up, but I love it. It says I pushed for this on the side, and stay-at-home mom, you know what I mean? It'll verify. I just think it's so dope, so I wear it sometimes. Sleep coaching question. When Laguna wakes up in the middle of the night because she's hungry, do you dream feed or do you fully wake her up to eat and then start the same bedtime process all over again? I think this depends on age. Laguna's eating like real food, and we're going to wean her off breastfeeding within the next 2 months. But from like, I would say 7.5 months on, I tried to kind of walk away from these dream feeds and these night feeds. And a lot of people are like, if your baby's hungry, feed them. Totally agree. I personally don't think Laguna was hungry. I think she was doing it for comfort. We made sure to feed her enough, both breast milk and food. So for me, these are my hours. If Laguna wakes up before 10:30 and wants to eat, her bedtime's 7:30 for reference, then we will feed her. Sometimes. This is like 50-50. If Laguna wakes up before 5 a.m. to eat, we will not feed her. After 5 a.m., we will feed her, and she'll usually go back to bed. Okay, so I got a bunch of other questions, but those are like kind of the questions that encapsulate all the questions we had. So let me go over Hysteria. My water bottle is going to be Laguna. We do our little sleep method. It doesn't really matter what phase you're on because a lot of people deal with hysteria, especially in phase 1. And then a lot of people deal with hysteria in phase 5 because you're still not touching your baby. So like, I get it. So we're going to call this phase a little side quest phase, and we're going to name it dealing with hysteria. So Laguna gets fed. I'm like, hi baby, love you. Mwah. I lay her down in her crib, right? I'm at the stage where I'm not tapping or anything. I'm using repetitive words. So I'm saying things like, go to sleep, baby. It's time for bed and you need to lay down. Those are my repetitive words. It's time for bed. You need to lay down. You're going to see some clips in this video where I literally am sitting at the door going, it's time for bed. You need to lay down, and Laguna will lay down.
You have to lay down. It's time for bed.
I lay her down. She is hysterical. Laguna's 10.5 months old, so her ass will stand up in that crib, and she will light me up if I'm not doing what she wants sometimes. How I combat this, and this is my note to you. Look me in the face. I'm going to tell you. I'm going to give you permission right now. I don't believe in the cry it out method. We don't do the Ferber method in this house. But what you do have permission to do is to give yourself some space and give yourself some time away from your baby. And this has been key for me. And this is exactly what I do. And you're going to see a Nana clip where I come back from one of my breaks away from her. So we're going to call this taking a break from her or him. Laguna's hysterical. Even if she stands up, what I'm going to do is say, okay, baby. Hopefully she's at least a little toned down. Like when Laguna first stands up, she won't be as aggressive at me. And I take that moment when she's not crying to exit the room. So if she stands up and she's like, I'm going to take that moment and exit the room. I'm going to give her anywhere, realistically, from 5 to 13 minutes. And sometimes she's screaming her head off the whole time. And of course I want to go comfort her. And you're probably thinking, Ricky, this is why I didn't want to do cry it out or taking care of babies. And now you're telling me to. No, I'm not. I promise. You giving your baby 8 minutes, and yourself, more importantly, 8 minutes to lower your cortisol levels, right, is healthy. If your baby can feel your cortisol, right? For me, I'm really patient. I have an Army background. I'm used to loud noises. I can kind of handle like the whining. Believe it or not, I don't know why. I was 12 when my little brother was born. Like I know what it is to have a screaming baby around. I'm good at it. Rachel, when Laguna's screaming, she's like turning red. Like some people aren't good with it. So giving yourself the permission, the 8 minutes to walk away, is healthy. And then you're going to go back in there and you're going to try again. Put a time limit on yourself too. That way you're not working until you're pissed off at your baby and then walking out pissed off at your baby, right? So I usually tell myself I'm going to do 8 minutes out, 5 minutes in, right? Because I do want to soothe my baby. Like I want them to know I'm putting them to sleep. And so when I return, and you'll see a Nana clip from what happens when I return from a Hysteria moment. Laguna just got done. I tell her, baby, it's time for bed. I lay her down and I sit at the door. So I don't exit, right? Because that's the phase I'm at, which is like 5. And I don't leave and I sit at the door and we restart our claim to sleep here. And we restart our process. And I'm like, you need to lay down. And hysterical or not, even if she goes to grab the gate and I tell her, no, it's time for bed, you need to lay down, she actually lays down, which is like super amazing. But this is all after like a 5 to 6 minute break. And it's just to break up the amount of time of like, it's a reminder of what we're doing here. When you leave your baby after you've done the bedtime routine in the room and you give yourself a second, first of all, take that time to actually like lower your cortisol level, breathe a little bit. All right. What I tell myself is I'm like, Laguna literally has no idea what I'm doing to her. She's just a baby. She has no idea what she wants either. She knows she's tired, but she wants the boob, but she already ate, but she wants to be held, but she doesn't want to be grabbed. Cause like, she doesn't even let me rock her to sleep anymore. So start to face reality a little bit that your baby wants to sleep and you're going to help them get there. And it's okay if as a parent, you know the best way to get there and your baby's not agreeing with you. If you're trying to find common ground with an 8-month-old baby, it may be hard. Their ability to come to common ground with you is not very good. They're incomplete minds at the moment. And so you making the executive decision of how we're going to go to sleep tonight, that makes you a good parent. And my sleep coaching method and intuitive parenting is designed to be used on a baby that is unsure of what's next, but they're kind of giving you cues of what they need. And sometimes when hysteria is all you're getting, give yourself that break. So when you'll see me return to the hysteria and you'll see how I react. I never allow Laguna to spend more than maybe 15 minutes I've been gone. And that's like maybe me and her are just not agreeing. And we're not at that stage now, but like maybe we're just not agreeing. I'm like, yo, like maybe after 10 I couldn't calm down. So I'm giving you permission, walk out of the room for 8 minutes, give yourself a time limit to go back. You'll notice in the Nana clip, I think I put her down in like 6 minutes. Obviously, it's literally called intuitive parenting. So I say go back for 5 minutes, but if you notice on the 5th minute, like, wait, she's close, hang in there. Those are some of the main questions I've gotten. I think the big question is, what do I do when my baby is absolutely hysterical? And the answer is to give yourself, let's use 8 minutes out of the room and know that when you return for the 5, you're going to be consistent. It's the same thing. Don't return from hysteria like, oh my God, I love you. And I know it's hard. I'm literally a professional father. Like, this is what I do. I love it more than anything in the world. I know it's hard, but you need to create a lifestyle that works for you and your baby. And the entire purpose of my sleep coaching method is the fact that you are still putting your baby to sleep and they do not feel left alone. They do not feel like you're just popping your head in. They do not feel like they're going to have to cry it out. You're not allowing them to get so irate. And even if they are hysterical and are irate for those 8 minutes, you're not allowing them to get so irate that they're like, my parent is gone. But I think that you do need a break to calm yourself down. And I also think that by taking a break during the hysteria, your baby potentially, in my own theory, in my own life with Laguna, I think Laguna understands deeper, like, okay, it's time for bed. Like each time I see my daddy, he's starting the interaction with, no, it's time for bed. And that's been super helpful to us. So do with that information what you will. Let me know what questions come of this. I'm gonna throw in this video a bedtime routine, just like a blanket bedtime routine that should get your baby kind of where they need to be. And then I'm also gonna throw in a vocab word of just like resetting, and you'll watch me do it on the Nanit when I reset Laguna, and kind of how I do it. Few quick notes. One, resetting over and over and over and over again without taking that break or without using those repetitive words can lead to your baby thinking it's like a game. Like my mommy or daddy just keeps laying me back down. Like I've had Laguna stand up and smile at me, like because I was resetting her so often. Two, your baby's peak melatonin is going to be between like 7 and like maybe 8:30. I think it's between 7 and 8, but I could be wrong. If you're trying to put your baby down prior to that, maybe push the bedtime routine an hour away. So like usually around 6:30, we'll start the bedtime routine. Hopefully all goes well, and Laguna's going to bed around 7:30 or 7. Bullet point number 3, if your baby, this was a question I got that I forgot to read. If your baby is constantly waking up like exactly at the same time, like Laguna, she wakes up like 3 hours after we first put her down. So if we put her down at 3 or at 7, she wakes up at like 10. If you know the time that they usually wake up, this is more helpful for shorter sleep windows. So you put your baby down, they always wake up 45 minutes later. Go in there at 35 minutes and move your baby around a little bit. Get them to break the sleep cycle. That should stop the habit that they have of waking up, because that's what it is, a habit. This is all research that I'm not going to cite, but stuff that I've just read about. It's public information. You can go find it. I didn't come up with all of this by myself, but I learned and grew and did what worked with Laguna, and that's why I'm here. Stay patient. Stay patient, and give yourself permission to walk away if you need to. Good luck, everybody. I hope the rest of this video helps you. Okay, we're going to go over resetting, which you'll hear me reference a lot, and you'll also be able to see in the Nanit videos. It can look sort of forceful or whatever you want to call it, but it's just me getting her back to like laying down. So if I lay her down, she's gonna squirm because now we put her in there awake completely. So right about now, I know she's like going to get up, and as soon as she gets here or grabs the gate, I'll say, no, time for bed, and I'll lay her back down. Time for bed. It's time for bed. And each stage of resetting is different. Like when I was patting her and singing to her the whole time, I'd reset her and pat and sing. And then when I was not patting and just singing, I'd reset her and just sing. And then when I was completely doing nothing at all, I would only reset. So if she ever got here, like when I'm at the door or I'm outside the room, I'll just come in here and I'll use the same phrase, no, it's time for bed, and I'll lay her back down. When she's in her sleep sack, I'll even go as far to pull her sleep sack down when she's on all fours like this. I'll pull her sleep sack and say, no, it's time for bed, and hold her there. Okay, so we've gone over some of the phases and vocab words. I want to set you up with a good bedtime routine. I have lots of videos about this, but I'll just talk you through our bedtime routine and how this correlates to us sleep coaching. So the first part of the bedtime routine is feeding Laguna actual food at this point. Laguna's 9 months old. If your baby's not at that eating point, then just winding down at nighttime. We'll move immediately into a bath because she's usually dirty after that. We'll dry her off, get her dressed, but not in her sleep sack, just in her pajamas. From there, Rachel will breastfeed with the lights on, and like no singing, no attempt to put Laguna to sleep. And actually, if Laguna attempts to fall asleep on the boob, Rachel will wake her up. Then I'll take Laguna. I will read a book or do something interesting. Maybe we play with a toy, whatever. Put her sleep sack on, and then I'll let her know, hey, it's time for bed. This is obviously me talking very quickly, but this is usually like a 30-minute, 40-minute bedtime routine because of the bath and the eating. And then from when she's in her sleep sack, that's when we begin whatever phase you're on. Lay down, phase 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, wherever you're at, and you're good to go.